Massive 7.5 earthquake has rocked the South Island, forcing the evacuation of many coastal areas. The quake hit just after midnight, 20 kilometres southeast of Hanmer Springs, and there are early reports of casualties. One casualty reported at a collapsed property in Kaikoura and another at a property north of Christchurch. There have been around 50 aftershocks since. And there are mass evacuations underway with the tsunami warning issued from East Cape to Southland. The warning also applies to the Kapiti Coast, Tasman Bay and the Marlborough Sounds. The Chatham Islands and the region between Blenheim and Banks Peninsula is still prone to a marine and land threat. Tsunami waves have been recorded along the Kaikoura coast and in parts of Wellington. Waves as high as 5 metres are possible between Marlborough and Banks Peninsula. Civil Defence is urging residents in low-lying areas in the region from East Cape to Southland to move to higher ground. The agency is pleading with people not to go sightseeing and to stay away from at-risk areas such as waterways until officials give the all clear. People should also stay tuned to their TV or radio to ensure they stay up to date with the latest information. Acting Civil Defence Minister Jerry Brownlee says Kaikoura, where a number of casualties are being reported, has been severely affected.
Some of the effects of this could be exacerbated there. We'll certainly find that out and want to know what's needed to help them out as the day breaks.
News Hub reporter Annabelle Tukia is in North Canterbury near the epicentre of the quake and told Paul Henry residents are taking the warning seriously.
Quite hard to tell if people were home, or we had been told a lot of them had gone to higher ground because they had heeded those tsunami warnings, and it had essentially fled for the hills to get away from the tsunami risk.
And our reporter Suzette Howe is in Christchurch. Suzette, which areas are being evacuated?
Now, thousands of people around those low-lying areas in Christchurch's eastern coast are being evacuated. They're come from New Brighton and Sumner. They've headed to the hills to get to higher ground, taken up that advice, and areas in North Canterbury around their coastal beaches have been evacuated around near Woodend and Amberley Beach.
And more specifically, what's happening around the epicentre?
Well, just close to the epicentre is a small town called Waia. Now, that has been cut off completely. A bridge, the main bridge in between Culverden and Waia, has essentially snapped at both ends. Now, there's a small community in there that has no power and no cell phone reception, and the landlines are down, so they haven't had any communication from them, and it's quite uncertain at this stage just to how those people are doing.
And Alex Beard is in Wellington. Alex, the capital city has been feeling those shakes throughout the morning as well. Where were you when the quake hit?
I was in my room on a video chat with my partner, who is actually in Kaikoura. Suddenly the lights went out on his end of the conversation and the phone cut out. I rang back immediately, and all I could hear was screaming and my partner saying that the house was falling down around him. So still yet to hear from him what's happening there, although once the power cut out at their end, I felt the shaking here. It was a very long, minute-long earthquake, long, deep shaking.
And what can you tell us about the extent of the damage?
Superficial damage, from what I can see at this stage, to buildings. There also seems to be liquefaction appearing at the waterfront and cracks in the tar seal there. The City Council is advising all Wellingtonians to stay clear of the CBD today and Lower Hutt Central so that they can get out there and check if the buildings are safe. So I repeat, if you are planning to get into the CBD today in Wellington, don't do that. Wait till you hear the latest from the Civil Defence.
And what services have been impacted there?
So ferry services and train services are all out at the moment. The ferries are sitting in the middle of the harbour while they wait to see if their berths have been affected. Trains are also being checked throughout the city today, and also the highways north to Palmerston North are out.
Zoe Bennett was asleep in her Wellington apartment when she was jolted awake by the quake.
Our walls are really thin, so I think we just I heard the noise first, and then obviously the shake woke me up, and then I just ran out of the room, grabbed Kate and just ran outside straight away.
Another man says the experience was like being woken up on a plane during violent turbulence.
Jumped up and it just felt like the whole hotel was shaking, like it was just being blown around in the wind. It was scary and it lasted a long time.
So just to recap, there has been a massive earthquake which has struck the South Island. A number of aftershocks have followed and there have been at least 2 casualties. We will have more on this developing story right throughout the morning. That is the latest from News Hub. It is 5 minutes past 6.
All right, thank you very much, Ingrid. Couple of very quick points here. Boulders have come down on the Lewis Pass near the Huranui Bridge. The road north out of Christchurch towards Waipara is completely closed. And North Canterbury residents, and this probably follows through for many residents in these quake-affected areas, are being urged to boil drinking water. It's only a precautionary notice that has been handed out, but do boil drinking water if you're in the position, of course, to be in a place like a kitchen where you would be heating up water anyway. For many, many people, there have been hours spent outside of their home in evacuation centres or at the top of hills, such as Mount Victoria in the case of Wellington. Good to have your company. Coming up 9 minutes past 6, just after midnight this morning then, a 7.5 magnitude quake hit 15 kilometres northeast of Culverden in North Canterbury. That's near Hanmer Springs. The quake was felt as far north as Auckland, and at least 50 aftershocks have rattled the country over the past hour. Tsunami waves of up to 5 metres are expected between Marlborough and Banks Peninsula, and a tsunami alert is in force for coastal areas right around New Zealand. People are urged to stay away from the water, stay off beaches, do not go sightseeing. There are reports of casualties in Kaikoura, and multiple North Canterbury towns, including Waiau and Rotherham, are cut off and power is out across much of that region. There's widespread damage to roading infrastructure. All trains in the South Island are cancelled, as are trains operating on the main trunk line south of Palmerston North. Ferry sailings in Cook Strait are also cancelled, and damage to Wellington's ferry port has left passengers stranded on an inter-island boat since early this morning. We will bring you more as damage comes to light. A reminder to check with airports. Do check with airports if you're travelling today, because many runways are being inspected. We have just had news that 2 deaths have been confirmed in Kaikoura. Civil Defence has just put out another update. Wilhelmina Shrimpton joins us with the very latest. Wilhelmina, good morning to you.
Good morning, Paul.
All right, you have the latest. What is Civil Defence saying now?
That's right. So they're saying that this tsunami warning is still in place for the east coast of New Zealand. So that's from the East Cape down to Southland. That also includes the Kapiti Coast and Tasman Bay and Marlborough Sounds. Now, they're saying that the Chatham Islands and also the region between Blenheim and Banks Peninsula is still at risk.
Now, this is at risk from tsunamis, the Chatham Islands in particular?
They're calling it a marine and land threat. So they're saying that people should still be aware there's a possibility of wave surges of between 1 to 3 metres. They've called this specifically a marine and beach threat, and that means that there's unusually strong currents, unpredictable water flows near the shore.
OK, now this is important for people to know, because always people are tourists. I mean, it's just the way of it. And people will be looking potentially for the typical tsunami, which is the wave, but it is the surges of water that, particularly in New Zealand with an event like this, are likely to cause the biggest problems.
That's right. I know that there were some reports this morning of people seeing the beach or the water essentially being sucked back out, and obviously that comes in as a big surge, a big wall of water, and those currents are unbelievably strong. So people just need to stay away. They shouldn't be rubbernecking. They shouldn't be going down to the beach to check out what's happening. They should be staying indoors and getting as high a ground as possibly can.
What is the time frame for this? In terms of the tsunami alert, what is the time frame?
They have basically said that they will keep us updated. They couldn't actually put a time frame on it. They will be giving us regular updates. So until such time as that's lifted, we just have to take this as that the tsunami threat still stands.
OK, Wilhelmina, thank you very much for that. Talk to you a little bit later. It is 11.5 minutes past 6. Christchurch Mayor Leanne Dalzell has been briefed on the latest and joins me now. Leanne, thanks for joining us. My God, all of a sudden we're thrust into this again. You're thrust into this again. Can you tell us what the latest is, first of all, in terms of evacuations in your city?
Well, we've evacuated all of the areas on our coastline. So we put the tsunami warnings on just after 2 o'clock in the morning, once we'd received advice from the Ministry of Civil Defence and Emergency Management that people needed to move to higher ground. Or further inland. I think some people have taken that very literally and gone right to the other side of town to park up in some of our city's malls over in Hornby and near the airport and places like that. But I think people have got the message that it's important to be away from the coastline while the tsunami threat is in place.
Have you got any idea on damage to the city yet?
No, our immediate reaction with our local civil defence team sort of checking on local damage was that there wasn't sufficient to establish an emergency operations centre at the time. So the only reason that we've got one established now is because of the tsunami warning. So I guess the real damage is up in Kaikoura and Mount Lyford, and gosh, our hearts go out to them. We know exactly how they must be feeling.
In terms of, we're talking again on damage, the airport, Christchurch Airport, what is the situation there?
The airport has been checked, and so they're completely operational.
All right. In terms of casualties and in terms of people that have been hurt, have you any specific knowledge of that?
Not in Christchurch, no, but it does appear that there have been casualties up in the Kaikoura, Mount Lyford area.
We don't normally think early in the morning of problems with the roads, problems with traffic in Christchurch, but there have been very congested areas this morning. Has that cleared?
Yes, as I understand it has. I've got. I'm looking at the television screens at the moment. There's people, obviously, a lot of people still parked up in different areas, but a lot of the congestion that was on the roads before because of the evacuation seems to have cleared.
All right, Leanne, we'll check in with you again later. Obviously, you're staring down the barrel of a very long day.
Thanks, Paul.
OK, thank you, Leanne Dalzell, Christchurch Mayor. It's 14 minutes past 6. This is Paul Henry, right around New Zealand. We will be back after the break with more on this developing story.
We're right here. Earthquake. We're in a earthquake. Whoa. Whoa. We're actually having an earthquake. Whoa. Guys. We're actually having an earthquake. You alright, Gil? It's alright. That was you.